Hello, how are you? Trying to figure out this new tripod thing I have. Probably just use my old system. I just picked this up. It has a light. Ooh. But I don't really care with how I look in these videos. Most of the YouTube videos I watch, I'm not like watching them, I'm listening to them. So I don't get too spun out about my looks. My hair looks kind of funny. Oh well, if you want to talk about how my appearance is, then you're kind of the strange one. So I'm trying to redo a video just to make it more concise. And I'm not used to doing this. Most of the videos I make, I'm just kind of like thinking and talking. And I like that. I think that's cool. I like watching videos where I hear people just like thinking out loud and, you know, having conversations. However, let's speed this along. In Arizona, where I'm from, on the West Coast, women and men interact with each other completely differently than on the East Coast. Women are empowered. Women are beautiful. Women go to yoga and Pilates and spin class and all of these things, right? Like they stay busy once their kids are not like 100% dependent on them. Because if they are not busy, their husbands won't do fucking shit, right? So Western women are a little bit smarter than East Coast women. East Coast women are like, oh, I'm a good woman. I'm a little victim, and I'll just stay home and I'll go on a date once a month, and the rest of the time I'll just be cleaning and sewing. Like, snap out of it, lady. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, it's 2025. You have rights. There are lots of classes and things that you can do with your time other than just like sit at home. It's kind of weird. Loogies. It's always good to spit your loogies. Anyway, women on the West Coast are more frequently educated. It's like pretty equal. If a man has a degree, a woman is just as likely to have a degree. But here, degrees are not as common. And then therefore the upper education for women basically just doesn't happen. So this is important to me because I visibly see that West Coast women have a vastly improved quality of life, almost in every metric. Men help out with their children more. Like, that's just common across the board, especially when men are done with their work. Often, it's very common for men to have 2 jobs. Okay? So, when he's done with the first job, he goes to the second job. So when dad's home from work, you're like, shh, dad's sleeping. Don't bother him. Okay? Totally different vibe. Or if dad has graduated beyond that point where he's working 2 or even 3 jobs, he will be super dad. It is so common. Most of the dads that I've known growing up, their dads were taking them to whatever their classes were after school. Their dads were doing the grocery shopping. The dads were doing the cooking because they were professionally trained chefs. And men enjoy cooking. They fully realize, oh, my wife is putting all of this energy and attention into my child. So the least I could do is to put a little bit of energy and attention into my own child after she's been doing it for 8 hours. I can put in 4 hours. That's not even half of what she did. And then it's no big deal. There's just this mutual respect thing. The guy goes off and does stuff with the kids. The mom goes to her spin class. She goes to the gym. She calls her friends. She goes to bridge. She goes and does whatever it is that she does in the afternoon. And this is very common. So this is almost every single kid I knew did this, or their parents did this. So that's my normal, right? That's like my regular, that's just what women do. That's just what guys do. Guys just help out with their kids. No one has to ask them. So many guys, once they hit 30-ish, or even their late 20s, because we have an incredible entertainment scene in Arizona. So there's all this pressure of kids the whole time. You know, once you're in middle school, you start hearing about, oh, there's this show, oh, there's that show. And so kids really want to go out and party. And there's like, people on the West Coast just talk to their kids more. Like, I'm not saying I necessarily agree with it myself, because my parents didn't like let me drink at home. I would get in a lot of trouble if I tried pulling something like that. And I did get in a lot of trouble. I think that, you know, one or two times that I did try to like have a little party, I got in a lot of trouble, even if I asked, right? Hey, can I have a party? Can I have my friends over? Oh shit. Anyway, that has nothing to do with it, but most kids know that their parents are going to be cool, because on the West Coast, it's all about explaining and your feelings and your rationale and like your modus operandi. What's your MO? Most parents, they're a little bit older out there. Most of these people are aware that, you know, stuff that you like when you're a kid, it may not translate into, you know, a job as an adult. So they just want their kids to have fun, enjoy themselves, do well, you know, in their studies, and then figure out where it is they want to go. And I like that, right? And so then the mom has her own path. Occasionally people will get divorced because the work isn't evenly distributed. But most of the time, these are the relationships after people got divorced already. So they already tried, you know, having kind of a toxic traditional marriage before. And it's very unsatisfying for women, because there's this huge burden of all this work that kind of just gets dumped on you. You're up from your shift is 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. You might get a break at like 4 or 5, no guarantees. And a break might include like a trip to the grocery store, you know, going to the gas station, stuff like that. And I have no help from my partner, none at all, because he's from the East Coast, and he thinks it's totally normal for the woman to just be the sole caretaker. And like, I don't, even if you, the thing is even if kids are from like families that get divorced, they're still like, no, it kind of worked. I mean, it's working for these people. Like, yeah, it's working for now, but like, that's the one huge difference that I've noticed from East to West, is that guys just do a lot more on the West Coast. I see men with their children more. If I see kids out in public, they're with their dad. I see it often here, but not like it's not as widespread. I do just as equally often see kids with their mothers. So yeah, it's so different, because you almost never see kids with their moms. Like, I'm just thinking of like living in Phoenix and all these different areas. Like, it'll almost always be dad taking the baby out for a walk, right? Oh, I'm taking the baby for a stroll. I'm taking the baby to go do this or that. And it's not just always his son, you know, because guys always want to help out when they have boys, and when they have girls, they're like, I don't know. At least over here on the East Coast. But on the West Coast, I know this sounds crazy, because if you haven't left the East Coast, it's hard to believe that. It takes a while to break into friend groups for you to like actually see this stuff for yourself. But I can confirm it is very real. I even grew up with some kids who had a stay-at-home dad, right? Their dad stayed home. Mom went off to work, came home every 2 weeks. Hey guys, how's it going? Paid the bills. And mom just kicked back and sat around and did fuck all. I think she would cook a little bit when she came home on her little breaks, but not a lot. So that is very common. In fact, I cannot even think of one kid who had a stay-at-home mom. Because if she was in that position of being a stay-at-home mom, She was running some charity or the head of some club, or she had something she was doing that occupied her time that was for her, not around the kids, not around their own stuff, because the dad filled that role. Like, and I don't know how else to explain it. I don't know how else to present it. I hope I'm giving like all the relevant information at once, because for me, living where I am, it is mind-blowing. I very commonly see guys just leaving their partners alone at home for upwards of 12 hours with yet very little children, 4-month-old babies at home. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go out with the boys on a Thursday. Wow, you're garbage. Like, guys just don't do that. Like, the deadbeat guys will do that on the West Coast. But I swear to God, the average father is super duper hands-on. So I'm coming from a place where, like, that is the assumption that men share equally in the childcare, men share equally in the chores around the house. If a man tried to, like, treat a woman like a slave or like his maid, she would leave, and that would be it. But I think the issue on the East Coast is that most women are trained to just like do that. So for a guy, they're like, oh, it's no big deal, I'll just go get another one, because he literally can. And on the West Coast, guys have to act right, because we all have just been like, you're not really worth it. And guys have had to get better. So it's great. It's great. It's worked. It's not perfect. Nothing ever really is. But me doing the work of the mom and the dad and the grandma and the grandpa all the time, while this fucker goes off to go, you know, drink and socialize and do stuff with his friends, that simply would not happen on the West Coast. Like, this would be like front page news, really, because you see guys with the little baby. Like, I see moms wearing those little things all the time, you know, out here. But I in my head, I was like, oh, that's so weird. I thought those were made for men. So when I started seeing really girly ones, really threw me. It was like, I had no idea that women would use those. Why would she need to use it? He let him do it. So perception, you know, like the West Coast is just very different. Men out there are very different. Most of the men that are from the West Coast aren't from the West Coast necessarily, but they want to be better. They want to be different. They want to be greater than they were in past relationships. And so many times in relationships, guys just put their hand out and they're like, oh, gimme. And women do it. So I don't blame them necessarily for doing it, because if it works, you know, why not? But it just makes me feel so bad for the women that they've discouraged from going to school and like talked down on for becoming educated, because those women don't play the game anymore. And then the really beautiful, you know, in their eyes anyway, the really beautiful ones do. So then they're thinking, oh wow, okay, I got it made in the shade, not realizing like what a horrible mistake they're making, that they will, and that woman will end up leaving them, because he's not doing enough. It's not normal for a guy, even if it's normal for your region, for men to just like sit at home and not help out with a child rearing and go to work and come back and do it, and that's it. That's his one job. He's not cooking, he's not cleaning, he's not shopping and restocking anything. He's not taking out the garbage, he's not cleaning the fridge, he's not doing the floor, he's not vacuuming, because he's not filling the gas up, or the car up with gas. You know, he's not paying the bills without a whole scene about it. So it's just like every single thing that a guy does should be, like, you shouldn't have to hear about it. I don't tell him every single fucking time I do something. He just notices that it's clean again. And that's like how it should be. Like, I don't know why men try to act like they're brand new all the time, or like they don't know better. I know that men have been treated really well by basically everyone that they've interacted with for their entire lives. And when it's their turn to like reciprocate and give you back some of the nice feelings, most of the time they choose to opt out. Most of the time they think, you're not worth it. And it's just crazy to me, because this is coming from people that have really been given basically everything. Nice vacations, a good education, loving parents, good friendships, a nice community. You know, I'm not saying people are like right for feeling this way, but it's just like, it's so crazy when you've been given so much, and when you're being asked to reciprocate in kind, somehow there's a problem, somehow you can't do it. Like, how come? Like, why? How come you accepted all of that nice treatment over the years, and you at no point were like, oh no, I don't need it. And I don't get it. It's just so weird to me to see how men on the East Coast operate, especially with children, because it's widely accepted. Like, on the West Coast, people have kids older, so when they have kids, they're really excited to have them. They want to spend time with them. Here, you're supposed to pop them out young and have as many as you can, and that's it. Like, it doesn't really matter the quality of the kid as much as the quantity. And that's a messed up mentality, because then it's so easy for guys just to pop kids out and be like, okay, see you later, sweetie. And then, yeah, like, for example, when you look at men and women in the area that you're in, tell me which group looks more aged. Does the man look more aged, or does the woman look more aged? Because if the woman looks more aged, she's clearly doing a lot more work. If the man looks more aged, then he's clearly doing a lot more work. And on the West Coast, I'm used to seeing the men look more aged, because the men are working harder, they're doing more, and they are trying, like, to provide for their wives, not have their wives provide for them. Totally different. Whereas out here, when you see men and women together, you don't often see couples together, but when you do, the woman looks more aged and the man looks great for his age. So it's just, it's because it's an unequal distribution of labor. It's not cool. It's not fair. That's not how it should be. But if you live in a certain region of the country and that's like acceptable, then it'll keep happening until somebody says, yeah, this isn't really good for me. So I don't know if I covered all of the points that I like wanted to, but like, women are fully expected to wear at least 10 different hats during the day. And for a guy, he really can just, on the East Coast, he can just go to work and come home and that's it. I challenge any guy that is actually living that way to really look at his life and think, are you getting as much out of it as you would like? Are you putting as much into life as you're getting out of it, I guess is the better way to phrase that. Because I think most of the time the answer is no. Guys are very comfortable just taking and benefiting from women out here, and they don't feel like they need to give back. They don't really think that women can get divorced or have any options, and that's like very predatory and weird. So yeah, what do men in your part of the country or world do? Do men help out with childcare? Is that some strange phenomenon that only people on the West Coast of America seem to understand? Please explain this to me, because who's teaching all of these kids to ride horses and drive quads and do all of these cool skills? Because it certainly seems to me like there are a lot of men stepping up to the plate, and they're not trying to get credit for it. And that's cool. And out here, you got guys that are doing the bare minimum, and they're like, God took me out, I'm a great father. Are you though? When?